The creature dragged itself along the outer wall of the mansion in long, scraping arcs, each heavy pull vibrating through the floorboards. I could feel every movement travel through my boots, through my bones, like distant thunder. Harrow stood perfectly still in the main hall, the rifle hanging loosely in his hands, pointed downward, but ready. The firelight from the two great fireplaces flickered across his face, carving deep shadows beneath his eyes. "Stay close to me," he whispered. A second later, something struck the foundation with enough force to rattle the windows. Thud! Dust drifted from the ceiling. Another strike. Thud! Then, a sound unlike anything I'd heard before. A low, quivering roar, but broken, like the bear's voice cracked apart long ago and only pieces of it remained. It wasn't the roar of a living creature. It was the sound of something that should have died, but refused. Harrow lifted the rifle and motioned for me to follow him up the staircase. The mansion creaked with each impact against the walls, like it feared collapse. When we reached the second floor, he guided me toward the hallway that overlooked the main entrance. From there, we had a clear view of the front door, and the door was starting to bow inward. The wood flexed, the hinges groaned. "It will get in," Harrow murmured. But we wanted to come through the front, not the side walls, not the back. "Why the front?" He inhaled slowly through his nose. "Because that's where we have room to move." Before I could ask anything else, the front door cracked down the center. A single claw pushed through, not a paw. A claw, long, hooked, thick as a man's finger. It scraped downward, peeling the inner wood like orange rind. From outside came a deep grunt, a sound too heavy to be breath alone. Harrow raised the rifle. "Get behind the armoire," he said. "What about you? I'll take the shot from here." There wasn't time to argue. The door split again, another crack, this one wider, revealing matted fur soaked dark with blood. I hurried behind the armoire, heart battering my ribs. Harrow braced the rifle against the banister, aiming down the stairs. The bear hit the door again. Crash. The entire bottom panel fell inward, exploding into splinters. The creature's head pushed through the opening. In the firelight, I saw it clearly. And seeing it made every story, every rumor, every impossible fear suddenly, brutally real. The skin around its jaws was torn away, exposing gumline and cracked teeth. Its ribs stuck out through patches where fur had rotted or been ripped free. Ice hung from its coat in jagged shards. One eye was missing entirely, just an empty black cavity dripping with half-frozen blood. And yet, it moved, and breathed, and learned. It sniffed the air through its ruined snout, shoulders rising and falling in ragged, wet heaves. Harrow fired. The creature reeled, slamming into the doorframe, roaring a broken roar that shook the mansion. Blood sprayed across the foyer, steaming on the warm floor. But it didn't fall. It didn't even retreat. Instead, it forced itself through the opening, wood snapping around it as if nothing mattered. Not pain, not blood loss, not the giant shards of timber cutting into its hide. Harrow fired again and again. The third shot hit something vital. I saw the bear stagger, one leg giving out as it collapsed partially to its side. But instead of dying, it dragged itself forward, claws tearing grooves into the hardwood. "Harrow!" I shouted. He backed away from the railing just as the bear lunged upward, swiping its massive paw across the banister. The impact shattered the wooden railing, sending pieces flying. We both stumbled back. The bear, using strength it shouldn't have had, pulled its hulking body up the stairs, not slowly this time, but in jerking, furious motions driven by rage more than muscle. Harrow raised the rifle again, but the creature swatted him before he could fire. He flew backward, crashing into a wall hard enough to knock the air from his lungs. The rifle clattered down the hall, out of reach. "Harrow!" I ran toward him, but he thrust his hand out. "Go! Go!" Before I could protest, a massive shadow rose behind him. The bear loomed, mouth hanging open in a grotesque split of flesh and broken teeth. Its breath spilled out in thick, white clouds, wet with blood. I dove sideways, just as the bear brought its full weight down on Harrow. His scream was swallowed instantly. Bones cracked like twigs. The creature crushed him without hesitation, slamming his body into the floorboards repeatedly until the boards buckled beneath the impact. His blood spread across the wood, dark and pooling quickly. I froze in horror. Harrow, a man I barely knew but was beginning to understand, was gone in seconds. The beast lifted its head. Blood dripped from its jaws. Steam rose from its wounds. Then it turned toward me. I ran. I sprinted down the hallway, slipping on the polished floor. The bear followed, each step a violent, shuddering thump. The walls shook with each impact. Doors rattled in their frames. Portraits crashed from the walls. I rounded a corner just as the bear's paws slashed where my head had been a heartbeat earlier. The claws carved through the plaster, sending dust and splinters across my face. My lungs burned. My vision pulsed. My legs felt like rubber. But adrenaline kept me upright. I dove into a bedroom and slammed the door. The room was dark, lit only by the moonlight through a frost-covered window. I turned the lock. The bear struck the door a moment later. Boom! The hinges creaked. Another strike. Boom! Splinters burst from the frame. The lock was bending. I bolted to the window, looked down. Snow. Hard-packed. A drop of 15 feet. I threw the curtains aside and hoisted the sash. It jammed halfway. I forced it with both hands. Below me, the bear rammed the door. Boom! The window flew open. Cold air blasted into the room. The door behind me cracked in half. I didn't think. I jumped. Glass shattered around me, slicing my jacket, my arms. The air punched my lungs as I dropped. The snow knocked the world out of me when I hit, burying me in a cloud of white. Somehow, I got to my feet. I looked up at the mansion. The creature stood at the broken window frame. Steaming blood dripped onto the snow below. Its chest heaved. Its single remaining eye locked onto mine. We stared at each other through the swirling snow. Then the bear collapsed. Its massive body toppled sideways, sagging against the broken window frame until the cracked wood gave way, and it slid down in a heap. I didn't move for a full minute, maybe longer, waiting to see if it twitched. It didn't. The forest went silent. The wind stopped entirely. Only my heartbeat existed. I don't remember running to the road, or how long I wandered in the dark, or when the driver found me. The next clear memory I have is sitting inside the heated SUV, wrapped in a blanket, shaking uncontrollably, while the driver spoke quietly into a radio. But the moment that haunts me, the moment that revisits me every night, happened just before we left the estate behind. I looked out the back window. The bear's body was gone. Drag marks, deep, wide, fresh, cut across the snow, leading into the woods. Something had come and taken it. Something strong, something hungry, something patient. The white silence swallowed the trail as we drove away. And I knew the truth then. It wasn't just a starving bear. It was part of something older. A cycle. A hunger inherited and remembered. And it wasn't finished. This is the last part in this series. Or is it? Thank you for listening. If you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing, as it really helps me out.